Hey folks, welcome back to Indaba Africa. This is Chris on Chris White Africa, right here live in central Pennsylvania. We have a special featured guest today, the lovely Boermeister Renee Kruger. I'll bring her on in just a moment. She was on the channel back in May, and a fantastic guest she was. We've talked about her coming back on the program, but we wanted to find the right topic. And with the celebration of Heritage Day having taken place this past week in South Africa, that was our topic for today. However, events have unfolded in South Africa as a consequence of the brutal domestic terrorism murder of young Brendan Horner, a 21-year-old farm manager in the Free State, who was murdered last week, tortured and murdered. The arraignment of the two suspects in his murder was today, and a lot of South Africans showed up in solidarity to be present, to show their revulsion at what's been happening in South Africa. Before we get started with Renee, I just want to quickly recognize a frequent flyer Airbus fan who signed up to support the channel. So I always render a hand salute to all members, new and recurring. So here's a proper hand salute. So you can never say you were never saluted by a colonel. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Okay, folks, I'm going to bring Renee on right now. This is Renee Kruger. Renee, Hoya Duck, how are you?
Well, Chris, I'm all right. I can't say that I'm doing well after the march today in Senekal. I don't know how to describe it. My heart and my mind is so confused and it's so upset. So yes, I'm doing all right. And you?
No, I'm well, actually. I kind of thought that before the events of last week, this morning was going to be a morning where I actually ran off, got the mail, collected it from the other town because I have a post box there, did a little bit of shopping, came relaxed because I was prepared for our conversation about Heritage Day. But then the brutal murder of Brendan and then the announcement that the suspects would be arraigned today, that kind of changed my entire day. So I've spent my entire morning looking at footage, listening to eyewitness testimony, both in Afrikaans, which, is not the easiest thing for me, but I do okay, and then also in English. And so I've been sorting through that and making a couple videos, and now this takes a dramatic turn for what we're talking about. Later today, Ernst van Zyl, the conscious Kerrickle, will be on the channel with me at 8:30 South Africa time. He was present as well. So I guess let's talk briefly about a little bit about Senekal. So you went to Senekal this morning to show support.
Yes, thank you, Chris. And I firstly want to say thank you very much for your coverage on this as well and your concern with this. So I know that you made quite a few videos about farm murders lately, and I appreciate that so much. We over here appreciate it today. We also heard when we feel so helpless, if I can put it that way, we feel very encouraged to know that there's people abroad also becoming aware of the situation. And also, I don't think it's needed for me to mention that in this year only, there has been over 300 farm attacks already. I know you've made videos about farm attacks and farm murders, but yes, to put it into perspective, most people who watches your channel, I trust, do not believe mainstream media. So yes, the mainstream media will of course turn this again, and I already heard that they reported on things that is not quite true, but I was there, I was in it all, and it was an eye-opener. It was, I don't know how to describe it, but when you are a child of God, you don't have a spirit of destruction. So my people didn't go there and destruct and burn a lot of things down and whatever. But the emotions were so deep, the people are so angered and saddened that they just can't anymore. And there was some people who got really hyped up, and there was a police truck that was tipped, and you can't judge any of this. You can't judge any of the Boers doing this, because if you realize where this comes from, it comes from a very deep, long, dire situation that we have to face, and what is just ignored in the world and also in South Africa. So yeah.
Well, Renee, absolutely true. So that was one of the reasons why I did a breaking news story this morning without the footage, just to explain to viewers what I had observed and my analysis of it. Because from my angle, I was concerned. First off, I woke up, have it already underway because I knew this was taking place. But I woke up this morning and there were already videos coming in from people who were present. And so I went searching for international news to see what coverage there was. Nothing. Not any coverage. Now, we've known for a few days that this arraignment was taking place. We've known that people were expected to show up. That's a newsworthy event in South Africa. There was barely, from what I saw, maybe you can correct me, but I saw virtually no South African mainstream media present. The News 24 footage that I saw was provided by private individuals, not journalists. Is that accurate, or did you see the media there?
Yes, no, I didn't see the media there. I think I saw the SABC news there, so I'm looking forward to seeing what the story would be on the news tonight. Yeah, but then when I say I didn't see them, it is a positive thing, because there was a lot of people, and that is positive. It is a lot of people. I saw a call from Cape Town saying that they drove all the way from Cape Town to Senekal for this, and there was a lot of people, and that is brilliant. It also shows how dire the situation are, and how this touches so many people. But yeah, it was good for me to see that the Afrikaners are also starting to stand together, standing up to this, and and what I also just have to say about today. It was very upsetting because, as you know, I am also trying to keep myself updated on the farm attacks and the farm murders in South Africa. So I hear about it every single day. I mean, there's more than one farm murder a day, farm attack a day. And this one just seemed to really touch me. And I don't know why. There's been very brutal attacks before, very brutal murders before. But yeah, so today I couldn't shake that off as well. I was very emotional. I was angry, and I was humbled by the loads of people there were, and I was also very sad. It stays so sad that this young man was so brutally murdered, and that he isn't there to see this happening for him and people like him being attacked and victimized.
Well, Renee, for me, this situation with Brendan hit me especially hard, thinking because I was a farmer at his age. I was a young farmer at that age, and it kind of struck me. Now, by that time, I'd already gone in the Army. I'd left the dairy farm, but I'd gone in the Army. But what really hit me was all of the lies that are told endlessly about farm attacks. I saw moral equivalency happening today when someone tried to say, well, the reason this happens is farm workers are underpaid and they're maltreated. Even if both of those things are true, it doesn't justify torture and murder of a person who doesn't own a farm. He's a farm manager working for someone else, and he was intentionally captured, tortured brutally, and thinking of the young man's last moments just kind of broke my heart. And this happens over and over again. We saw this thing in Gauteng yesterday or the day before, in which 9 thugs attacked a farm and threatened a farmer and his wife and said they're going to rape his children. He has 3 little girls and a son, ages 6 to 18. And then we saw Chantal murdered in Delmas over the weekend. It's absolutely insane. It's driving me nuts that the mainstream media failed to capture this, because the mainstream media had their nose in Soweto in 1985. They were all over the townships recording all sorts of things. Now, that was newsworthy, but so is this.
Yes. So, sorry if I don't seem so fresh and on top of things as usual, but I'm quite, emotionally just tired after today. But yes, that is true what you say. And what is also true is that farm workers is not maltreated or underpaid. Sorry for a little talk. Just want to say hello.
Oh, all right. We got a free bonus guest there.
His name is Sant, and you would appreciate that. That's like a like sergeant.
Yep.
Yeah. So yes, and then the other thing I also want to say, what the media really focuses on, and the approach they take towards today, is that it was the public against the police today, and so forth. And yes, this was true. This is true, but it is because the police, as you know, does nothing about this. And the Minister of Police, Bekitsele, as you also mentioned already, just the other day said that maybe this happens, the farmer deserves it. And so I don't know what else you want to know about today, but I can say that there was a lot of people and that there was a lot of emotions, and that I really do hope that this gets coverage in the world, and that this does turn to a turning point.
Well, a couple more things quickly about it, because folks, we only have Renee for about 40 minutes. The sun's going to go down there in the Free State. It's going to get dark, and so we want to make sure we get in here. But plus, she's also tired. It's a bit of a drive. But a couple things very quickly about this. So some folks have said that the police armored vehicle, when it rushed down the street and drove towards the courthouse, actually ran into the courthouse. Looks like my computer's freezing up. What's going on there? Just a moment. What the heck's going on here? All right, this happened the other day too. Are you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay.
You seem fine.
Okay. All right. Well, my computer's all froze up, so I don't know if it's transmitting or not. And this is odd. Give me a second there, Renee. I don't know what's going on. I need to get a handle on this. My entire computer's frozen. No, you're fine. It's on my end. It's on my end. And I don't know what's going on. I don't have control of my computer at the moment. It's as if someone has broken into my computer. It looks like I have no memory. So just hang tight, Renee. Hopefully it'll come free in a second.
Okay.
Are you dialing something? Or is that
No.
That's my end. Okay. I don't know what's going on here, but I don't have control of my computer at all. I wonder if I'm being hacked. That's really weird. Okay, here we go. I've got control again. Okay. Well, I had control.
Okay.
I had control. Hang on. It's something really strange is going on here, but it looks like the computer's responding now. Okay, so folks, are you still there? Do I still have my audience? Okay, I see that the sergeant is disappearing there. That looks like a minute ago. Okay, all right, folks. I'm very sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. I lost complete control of my PC, but it is back now, and that's probably a Microsoft issue. Maybe I wasn't broken into. Anyway, sorry about that, Renault. We're back now, and if you guys didn't notice anything, awesome. But I noticed something. So anyway, let's go ahead and get back to it. So the questions I want to ask is that there was the appearance that, or the people said that what happened was the armored vehicle drove in towards the courthouse and actually struck the courthouse. Do you know if that's true? Did it actually run into the building and hit the wall?
If that happened, it was just after I left because,
Okay.
I was there for quite a while, and then we started walking because we parked far away, because there was a lot of vehicles. So when we got to the vehicle, we went past there again, and then we saw people moving away, and they, because they started to. Now I can't know what the name is in English, but that stuff that makes your eyes burn.
Tear gas.
They
Tear
threw
gas.
that-
Tear
yeah.
gas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that happened, and then the police van was set alight. So that I just missed. So I don't know if that happened then, but I did see in that moment when we went past there again or went into that direction, we did see that police vehicle chasing really irresponsibly, like it was this close, and he would have hit a car with family in. And what also happened, as I'm sure you know, was that when that truck earlier tried to get into the venue of the magistrate court, the Boers pushed it backwards to ensure that it couldn't transport the criminals or the police out there without them facing them. So it was quite hectic.
Yeah, that was the part that was unclear, and I made that clear from my perspective in my comments on the video that it's breaking news. We don't always have all the facts. I have to wait and get some of the facts, but it was interesting to see. So is that I take it, is it a bit of a drive for you guys to get to there? I mean, the Free State's not exactly tiny. It's got some space to it.
Yes, we drove about 2 hours. So it was 2 hours to there and then 2 hours back. So it kind of took the whole day until I just came here again 4 o'clock. So.
Well, I mean, that's a bit of a drive, but I mean, not as much as the guys from Cape Town. The Cape Town must be less of a 15 to 18-hour drive.
Yes, that's crazy. I can't believe those people drove all the way, but I'm very glad to see that. I mean, we are in solidarity about this because this happens all around the country, and you are never ensured that this won't happen to you next. So, yeah.
No, that's the really frightening thing. I mean, right now at this very moment, you're on a farm in South Africa. It's got to be a very serious concern, worried about your safety all the time. I mean, this doesn't just happen in one location. It happens throughout the country. There is a concentration in KwaZulu-Natal and in Limpopo, but we see it everywhere.
Yes, no, it's definitely, it's difficult to also say that the concentration is there because every year it looks different. I know last year the Western Cape also had a lot of attacks, so you can't just think you are safe where you are. It happens all over. So
Well, Nicholas Groves just gave a super chat. That's very kind of you, Nicholas, with the fist bump. I guess he's happy to see Renee back on the channel, and I guess happy to hear the topic we're talking about. But let's we can come back to Senecal, but let's shift a little bit. We're about 15 minutes in, Renee. Originally, we set this up because you were eager to talk about Heritage Day. Now, before you answer, on Heritage Day, I think I mentioned to you that I celebrated 3 South African cultures and languages. I focused on the Tswana and on the Basotho and on Afrikaners, all of whom I have a special affinity with. And so rather than try to do all the multitude of groups in South, and I did a special mention out to the Khoisan San, but I didn't spend any time on it. But I did talk about culture and language for each of those groups, and that's what I did on Heritage Day. Unfortunately, I played some music videos, including Boer Pumpy from Snotkop and from Rika Snell, and a couple of others, and my video got blocked. So I'm still trying to delete those videos a week later, and they won't delete them. So only 300 people were able to watch my Heritage Day stream who tuned in. But that's what I did on Heritage Day, and you wanted to talk about it. So let's talk about Heritage Day and your thoughts.
Yeah, so Heritage Day is supposed to be a celebration, as you mentioned. You looked into those cultures. It is supposed to be a celebration of your culture and your heritage, and it was very troubling this year. So since all this is going on in South Africa, it's so difficult to be proud of the South African heritage. I mean, it's very difficult to think about the South African flag and feel proud. Even any form of a South African government now upsets me, and I can't associate with it anymore. But the Afrikaner cultural heritage that we are very proud of and that we would like to conserve and also promote is under attack, as you know. So yes, 24 September was Heritage Day, and on that day our president Cyril Ramaphosa had a speech where he said that basically all the Afrikaner heritage statues should be moved to a museum of shame. And he said this referring to Minister Nathi Mthethwa, the Minister from Sports and Culture and Arts, who said this just the day before, I think, or 2 days before. So this really upsets me to think, and as you know, we talked about that the last time we talked as well. I'm doing my study focusing on the Afrikaner culture, and with this study, I'm having trouble to convince people that it is needed for this study. Sorry, it's difficult to convince people that this study is needed because they just hear the word Afrikaner and they think, oh no, that's not politically correct to even say the word. It's not politically correct to do a study that focuses on this. But then this happens, and I just can't believe that I can't do this study because obviously we are not allowed to be proud of our heritage. We are not allowed to conserve it and promote it. So it was very troubling to hear our president even say that after the minister said that as well.
Well, those who are reasonable thinkers and cogent, clear thinkers call that bigotry and racism, Renee. That's what we call that, what President Ramaphosa said. And the actions that are taking place here. I saw that, a museum of shame. Should we dig up the Zulu Museum at Blood River on the opposite side of the Boer monument there and also burn it to the ground? Is that a museum of shame, celebrating that battle there by the Zulu who lost? But should we destroy? Should we tear up the battlefield at Isan Lawana where the Zulu wiped out the Brits? Should we do that? This is utter stupidity. This is the tactic of the weak-minded and the cowards. It's interesting because when apartheid was a minority-run government in South Africa, the world paid attention. But the worst thing one could ever do is abuse a small group of minorities. And this is what's happening in South Africa on a daily basis. I still am in disgust to hear the museum of shame. As if the Zulu, the Xhosa, the Venda, the Ndebele are guiltless or blameless in any crimes historically. They seem to have this cognitive dissonance, Renee, when it comes to the fact that they like to use the term colonizer. And I like the word colonizer too, but that includes all the Bantu. Only the Khoi and San were there originally. So if the colonizers got to go, then Fotsek for the Zulu, for the Xhosa, the Venda, the Tswana, the Basotho, the Siswati, all of them can go, along with the Europeans, Afrikaners, Boers, and everyone else English, because they're all colonizers. That's a stupid argument. It drives me nuts. I'm sure you get tired of hearing it too.
Yes, and I heard that video where you said that, and I was so glad to hear you say that, and you put it very well for me. So thank you once again. But yeah, and what President Ramaphosa also said in his speech was that we come out of a discriminating past, and that the democracy is trying to change this heritage, and they are doing this by changing names of towns, etc. And this is also so troubling because. First of all, and he said the discriminating past is still going on in South Africa today, and I don't know what he's talking about, because the only discrimination going on in South Africa is from black on white racism. So if he mentions that, then great, but he doesn't. He says that it's a discriminating past that we come from, and it's still like that today, and we are still trying to get over it, but we will never get over it, and South Africa will never have a new heritage when they just change the names of things other people built. I mean, now they change the names of a town the Afrikaner people discovered and built. And now when they change the name, they think that will be their heritage. No, it won't. It doesn't work like that. So that was also really troubling. His whole speech was very troubling. And to think that there's so much people who believes him and believes that our heritage belongs in a museum of shame. There's nothing shameful of our heritage. I'm very proud of our heritage, of the people from our history who was brave and built this country up. So.
No, absolutely. I mean, you have nothing to be ashamed of. First off, I've done videos on this. I've talked about this. I wrote an article about this a couple years ago on LinkedIn. The whole lies about land and the distortions about land. And part of the reality here is that conquest is a legitimate form of political discourse. People may not like it, but it happens. And that's how the Khoi and San were displaced, and how the Bantu came to populate South Africa. And Europeans came and engaged in conflict with the Xhosa, 9 wars, and then also engaged with the Zulu and the Ndebele. And when we see what happens, and those who captured land during conquest is legitimate. But we see all kinds of lies. And I saw a very vile thing today. This was being circulated. I believe this was on Twitter, and it's someone named Andile. I can't pronounce his name. Mngxi, Mngxi. He says, "I salute you. Most of you showed me you aren't morons. So I put up a picture of a 21 years old land thief who was recently murdered. 99% of the comments of these were memes. Nature." Can't even write English. Someone even said they were eating chocolate. Maybe I will die a happy man with the knowledge that many of us are getting it, that this is war. Of course, I will be happier if we launch a full-scale revolutionary war to get our stuff back. Only a people who don't take their oppression seriously have tears for the oppressor. Let them give back the land, and they shall know peace. So long as they are holding on to our land, bad things shall happen to them. That's a criminal violation of South African law, and that's a South African. I wonder if we'll see this person charged with a crime like Vicky Momberg was, a woman who was in distress and shock and was abusive to a black police officer, but wound up being a convicted felon and went to jail for that, for speech. But will anything happen to this guy? I seriously doubt it, Renee.
I seriously doubt it as well, but I can't believe he says that. I mean, yes, I hear this every day, and I am confronted with this every day, all these lies, but every time I hear it, it still upsets me because it's such lies. We didn't steal the land, and to think that even though if another group did this, to murder them how many years later for other people for this, who their group of people previously did, is still not justified. I mean, it was a brutal murder, and this happens every day. So I can't believe he says that. And it's really upsetting to know that there's so many young people who is also behind him with this. So many people from other cultures in our country who is behind him and who also believes this lie. So yes, thank you for sharing that as well. But
no, it's sorry to interrupt you. It's quite distressing. I mean, this is the norm, and people get away with it. I mean, if you wrote something like that about another group of South Africans, I suspect there'd be a knock on your door. Your Twitter account would be suspended, calling for violence and murder and glorifying it. It's utter ridiculous. No, and back to the naming thing. When they started, the ANC's always got this, everyone likes to use the phrase that Cyril Ramaphosa used back in the day about the frog in the pot boiling and not knowing. But that's kind of how they took this approach with the naming campaigns. You remember, a lot of people wouldn't have complained about some of the early renamings. A town with the name of Kaydorp, obviously you know what K stands for. I don't want to get blocked here, but a town named Kaydorp is probably not the best name for a town. I think we can all agree on that. I don't think anybody would argue that should be renamed. But the reality is that some mythical, non-existent, farcical mythology king named Chwana, who supposedly lived in the location where Pretoria currently exists, there were no people living there when the Trek Boers arrived and founded Pretoria and named it after Andries Pretorius. And so they founded the town, they built the town, and there were only Africans who worked with them who were there initially. And then Nelspruit. Nelspruit was founded by Afrikaners once again. There was no one there at all. They built a place to put a train railhead, and now it's also got a silly renaming. That's kind of ridiculous. This, to me, is an effort it's cultural genocide, trying to stamp out a culture is what it is.
Yes, it is. And that is why we also talk about heritage today, because even our president and the ministers from our government are just saying that our heritage should be in a museum of shame. And I don't know if you saw, but I'm wearing a Paul Krüger hoodie today.
Well, I'm wearing an Paul Krüger beard, so.
Yeah, we are matching today. So I'm very proud of it, and I said that if you could put on joy, if you could physically wear joy, I would be wearing it today, because he was, for example, we can just talk about him for an example as well. I hope and trust that I'm family from him. I don't know, because I'm also Krüger, but let me just sorry.
That's all right.
So yeah, not a lot of people know this, but Paul Krüger firstly lived long before apartheid, and he was also there's still a township today renamed after him, Mamelodi, because the black people also had a lot of respect for him, and the township Mamelodi means the I must put this in English now, but the whistler, like the bird whistler or something like that, because Paul liked whistling. So that is just one example, and the people who knew this and who appreciated this isn't alive today. And now the youngsters who doesn't know anything but the lies the politicians are telling them are the ones inciting violence and physically actively engaging in violence. And this is what we see. This is what we see to get back to Senekal again. And this is why the Boere are upset and why they are tired of just talking about this problem and not doing something.
No, I'm absolutely with you, and it honestly, Renee, it's vile and disgusting. No government has legitimacy in governing people when it allows this to happen. And by that token, I don't stop there. I mean, people want to point to the United States. I can point to my governor and mayors of cities in the states who are vile and disgusting and ought to be removed from office, however legal means can be do it, because they're failing to do the number. Listen, there was a time when we all running around in the bush, hunting things and gathering in small family clans and bands, and that's human history. And what happened was we started having agriculture and coming together in bigger concentrations. And we realized that, people misbehave. So we formed governments to protect us against marauding bands, against other entities. And that's why we formed governments, polities, that the body politic, the people form governments to protect them against all threats, foreign and domestic. When the South African government fails to protect its citizens, and it's not just Afrikaners and Boers and people in the farms, it's 60 South Africans per day. That's an astounding number of people murdered, and it's not simple. Somebody got hit by a car or somebody was shot. It's torture, it's gang rape, it's mutilation. It's very disgusting. It's the disregard for human life in South Africa by segments of its population is heartbreaking.
Yes, and to also have another link between our two conversations here with heritage and the March for Brendan Horner. So I just saw that there's also a claim that the Boere from the environment wrote to the government to say what they claim now with this march. And one of the things was also that the president should publicly say and admit and let the people know, let the South Africans know that no land was stolen by the Boere. The Boere didn't steal any land. So that would be a miracle if that would happen, because this narrative is definitely behind a lot of this brutal attacks, as you also could have seen in the tweet that you mentioned from the young man that said that. So just to link the two conversations there as well.
No, that's a good link. Way that you did that there. The whole thing about land, though, of course, is that most people talking about land are talking out of their backside, out of their bum. They have no idea what they're talking about. Very few people know, and even well-meaning people. For instance, when I mentioned to people that in the 1980s there were still another 2.5, almost 3.5 million, somewhere between there, black South Africans who were relocated from one part of the country to another, and people go, yeah, that's right. And then there were also several hundred white South African farmers who lost their land and were relocated, particularly in Northwest. People were relocated from Northwest down to KZN, where they had to relocate, either buy land or were transferred land down there as a consequence of the creation of Bophuthatswana. And so the injustice happened to lots of people. But my point is that people don't know the full story on land, and they just start going on and on and on about it. Listen, my Irish ancestors were enslaved, not indentured servants, were enslaved by Oliver Cromwell and shipped to the Bahamas as slaves, where they were bred with Africans, by the way. So should I get some compensation? Am I entitled to land from the English now? That was 400 years ago, but damn it, I want my land back. And I actually have the evidence that they did this to my people. So not just some ludicrous claim that Julius Malema has told me this is the truth. I actually have factual documentary evidence of the English stealing my ancestors and shipping them to the Caribbean. So do I get land?
Wow. Yes, that's quite something. So, and then I also thought of something else I wanted to mention, but I'm sorry, my brain really feels
all over today. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, sorry, but just give me a moment. I will remember just now.
Well, it was probably about the land. I'm not sure. Maybe we consider about land, but while you think about that, if it comes back to you, let me ask this question. So informally, since about 2006, National Heritage Day, which was originally a Zulu holiday, but the ANC wouldn't let the Zulu have it as a national holiday, so it became Heritage Day. But it's informally known as Braai Day, National Braai Day. Did you guys have a braai on Braai Day?
Yes, of course we did. But this is also something that a lot of Afrikaners doesn't appreciate, because to downplay heritage that is so rich and so unique to just braai is quite disturbing. But we did have a braai, and we made brooitjies, and we had some steak, so it was great. And thank you for that, because I did remember what I wanted to say. So we talked a while ago with regards to your video that you also made about farm attacks, and I said that there was one or two things that I didn't completely agree with. So the videos after that was very great, and I appreciate all your coverage on farm murders. But the thing that would have triggered a lot of Afrikaners or Boere was that you also mentioned that this doesn't just happen to Boere, but also to other people in rural areas, etc. And just today we also saw that when we had the speeches before the march began, there was also someone who said, a politician from a party I won't mention now, who said that that the rural safety is a problem, etc., etc. And the people get so angered and saddened because no one wants to say it on the name. No one wants to just say it's the farmers who's being victimized. So yes, it is true. And I have to mention that today there was quite a few Black people as well at the march. And I was surprised to see that. And I was grateful to see that it was farm workers and it was Black people from over South Africa who was also there to show their condolences and to stand with us to say this must stop. So yes, it definitely touches them as well. I mean, when a farmer gets murdered, it can be anything from 5 to 20 farm workers who loses their job. And as we talked earlier, this is not people who's underpaid or maltreated in most cases, maybe in a few rare cases, but overall farm workers work on the farm and they get paid and they're not maltreated, and then they lose their job. And as you know, the unemployment rate in South Africa is shocking. So you can't afford to lose a job. So one Boer being murdered, and this year there's already been 54 murders, and for every farmer being murdered, you can now make the sum of how many people is unemployed as well now. So this is bad. It touches them. But just to get back to what you mentioned in your video, it's not it's not always appreciated when someone just refers to rural safety, because it's not really that. It's farmers being victimized. It is hate crimes. So it was just that I wanted to say. But when you say that other people is touched by this, that is so true, as I just mentioned with the farm workers as well and their families.
No, Renee, it's a fair point, but people focus in on the things that they hear that strike with them. But I've been consistent in what I've said. I still stick to the story because it's true. I have the data that rural insecurity is a problem. But I have never wavered from the fact that this is domestic terrorism targeting white commercial farmers. Absolutely, that's true. So both of those narratives are true, but some people hone in or fixate on one thing. And the other thing I say frequently, which you just agree with, is that it affects all South Africans. When you murder a commercial farmer, the knock-on effect isn't just, oh, good, we got one of them. It isn't just that. It has a far bigger impact beyond that. And it's the same thing with the racism in the Tourism Relief Fund. Not that it's murder, but it's the same sort of stupidity. When I mean, in the Tourism Relief Fund, the department responsible for that said that you couldn't get the money unless you were BEE certified. I just say EEE because it's ridiculous how many E's are in there. But anyway, so yeah, so you had to be certified. In other words, you had to be a majority-owned black business, or you couldn't get relief funds. So the problem with that is that in the tourism sector and in all sectors, 2/3 of all employees for minority-owned businesses are black Africans. So if you starve people because you've shut commerce down and you deny them an opportunity to make money, then you deny them money that's being donated by private individuals and money from the government so that they can survive and tide over on the basis of their skin color, then you don't hurt just those people, you hurt all South Africans. And I think that's kind of the point we're both talking about there, is that this affects everybody. But it is definitely, look, I make no bones about it. I mean, now, yeah, we can make the argument, okay, there's an occasional revenge murder, it's a crime of opportunity, it's a spat occasionally, but the vast majority of these attacks are clearly organized, carried out effort to terrorize white South Africans to leave rural areas, to abandon the farms. And I say that with no equivocation. I am a counterterrorism agent. I was an analyst that covered this for decades. And I have no doubt in my mind that that's what's happening here. Now, who's behind it, whether it's orchestrated at a local, national level, that's a whole other topic. But clearly people are being encouraged to behave in this fashion, expecting no consequences.
Yes, thank you, Chris. I maybe it didn't come out that strong in that one video, but as I mentioned, your videos later clearly stated, as you mentioned now, and I really appreciate that. So yes, we both agree with each other. Actually, we're not disagreeing here. And yes, and I appreciate that so much. I said it a lot of times, but it's really necessary for people abroad to take note of this, because it feels as if our hands are cut off over here. I mean, you can't even defend yourself from an attacker unless he already physically attacked you. It's ridiculous. So we really feel that as if our hands are cut off. And then, of course, when the Minister of Police says that maybe the farmers deserves to be hurt or whatever, this just contributes to that feeling. So yeah, no, we really need the people abroad to also take note.
Oh, absolutely. And not just people abroad, but governments abroad need to start paying attention. Listen, I was excited to have you on the show because you're a great guest. I always enjoy the conversation with you, and we don't get enough of them because you and I are both quite busy people. But I thought you'd be the star of the show, but unfortunately you're not. Your dog is the star of the show. Somebody just asked, because you've already given the dog's name, could you say the dog's name again?
Sergeant. Like go. Sergeant, Afrikaans. Sergeant.
There's the true star of today's show, and that's a nice lighthearted moment. He's got a beautiful face on him there. Some kind of mix. I can't make out what he is, but beautiful dog.
He's a fox terrier.
Okay.
And he is very beautiful. He's still young. I don't know if someone go and watch our video from May, they will see the boerboel and the fox terrier that approached us as well. But that was an old fox terrier, and unfortunately he had cancer and he didn't make it, and that is why the new baby is here now. So people would be quite confused if they see the old fox terrier and then now in October, the young fox terrier.
Well, listen, Renee, we said about 40 minutes, and we're right at 40 minutes now, so I don't want to overstay my welcome, and I want to thank you for coming on. But I did want to say this. They may want to stick all of South Africa's monuments in a museum of shame, but I think they're going to have to build it around the Voortrekker monument, because it's going to be a little hard to pick that one up and move it. That's quite an impressive monument.
Yes, thank you. I think so as well, and I really do hope that this won't happen. My study is absolutely because of my passion to conserve our culture and our heritage. So I'm reading up about it a lot, and the more knowledge I have, the more passion I develop for this. So yes, I won't be able to see this happen where they really move our heritage to a museum of shame.
Well, just one suggestion, Renee. I mean, obviously in your studies, take whichever direction is appropriate for you, but just an idea is that the Afrikaans people as a group, whether they're colored or white or Trekboers or Boers, whoever, because there's always this debate about who's what. But I'm beyond that. I don't care about that. I see you all as a group that matters. But looking at the group as a whole, you might consider, its cooperation and its allegiances with African groups from South Africa, like the Basotho people, the Tswana people, the Griquas, of course, from Kimberley. There have been long ties and relationships between these groups with Afrikaners, and I don't know, it might just be something to take a look at, because every time that the lies are told about the Afrikaans-speaking people, it's always nice to be able to refute it. They just killed everybody. No, the Ndebele were the ones praying. The Trekboers arrived. The Basotho allied with the Trekboers, and the Griquas allied with the Trekboers, and the Tswana allied, and then they sent Mzilikazi to the north, past the Limpopo, into Zimbabwe. And they were friends and allies, and they worked together, and that part of South Africa's history is ignored by the bigots and racists from the EFF and those hiding inside the ANC. So maybe just an idea for your studies. You might want to look at that.
Yes, thank you. And eventually, if my study goes well, I would eventually someday want to develop also a cultural attraction for people to visit and to experience Afrikaner culture. And just to get back to what you said about the other cultures from South Africa, this would also, I trust that they would also visit to see just that you mentioned, the lines we also share in history, because I visited a few cultural attractions, Afrikaner cultural attractions this year, and then everywhere I go, they say they have a lot of visitors from Sotho or Zulu or whatever other cultural groups, because they say their people didn't preserve the cultural heritage, the what do you call it, Vatican
patrimony.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so they didn't conserve as well as the Afrikaners did. So they actually come to the Afrikaner attractions to also see something of them. Because, for example, at an attraction that shows the era of the Great Trek, they have the spears that the Zulus used, etc. So they come to see that as well, to experience a bit of their culture at Afrikaner cultural attractions. So yes, we do have a lot. Yes.
Well, Renee, bye donkey. It's a pleasure once again to have you on the channel. I hope I can get you back soon again. I'm sure we'll have something else to talk about. But anyway, thanks for going today, and thanks for sharing your experience there. I really appreciate it. It's important to get firsthand reports. It's easy for people afar to comment, but it's always great to have firsthand reports. And Museum of Shame, well, I have one for the ANC. It has shamed its heritage. It once had a noble heritage, and that has been lost. And so it's really tragic to see this kind of governance in South Africa, but I hope that the world begins to take attention. I'm doing my best to bring it to the world's attention. So before you go, any last thoughts you'd like to share with us, or things about today or Heritage Day, or just anything in general?
No, thank you, Chris. I think we covered quite a few things. I just want to say thank you for the invitation for a future show as well, but that must just be when I feel a bit more fresh, because after today I'm very emotionally drowned. It's a dire situation, and that feeling that you have there, that something is happening, something must happen. These people are standing together, and then yes, probably tonight on the news it will just show the other side and it will just disappear. We hope not. We hope that this will be the beginning of a miracle, but yeah, our heritage is great, and I hope that we can talk about that more sometimes. And thank you so much for all your coverage as well.
It's my pleasure. As always, you're a popular guest on here. The Joking Atheist asked me, when is Renee going to marry him? I think her boyfriend might have something to say about that. And last time I checked, he's a pretty good rugby player. So I would just back off, Joking Atheist. I'm just some friendly advice, my friend. Some friendly advice. Anyway.
Oh, thank you. Yes, he's not here now, but yes, maybe we'll give you that answer some other time.
We'll do that off camera. Anyway, all right, Renee, thank you so much. I'm gonna go ahead and say goodbye to you and let you leave the stream, and then I'm gonna close out for this one. Thank you so much today. Really, seriously, a pleasure having you back once again. And the timing just wound up being rather serendipitous. So thank you.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, Chris. Maybe you have a blessed day further.
Bye, donkey. Okay, folks, that's
Thank
Renee
you.
Kruger. She's dropping off right now. Let me go ahead and do this here. All right. There we go. Back. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Chris Wyatt Africa on the Daba Africa channel. My special feature guest today was Renee Kruger, a lovely Bourmaisi who attended today's events in Senegal in the Free State, where the two suspects in the brutal domestic terrorism political assassination of Brendan Horner, who was 21 years old, took place last week. They were arraigned today in a slightly chaotic situation. The mainstream media in South Africa already fraudulently and falsely reporting what actually happened there, claiming that that the people present fired weapons when it was the police who fired the weapons by all accounts and all eyewitness testimony thus far. If that turns out to be false, then we'll report it as such. But that's happening. So the news media are spreading fake news about what happened there. We've had actual videos up. I have 2 of them up, folks. Feel free to check out those videos. The first one I did was a breaking news story earlier this morning, about 3 hours ago now. Or yeah, about 3 hours ago. And thank you all very much for those who've tuned in, those who've been subscribing during the stream. I assume that's because a lot of people are watching that video. That video right now is the best performing video ever on my channel. And it's unfortunate I have to talk about this event, but it was breaking news. 11,000 people have now watched that in 2.5 hours, folks. That's astounding. Thank you so much, all of you who watched that video. I'm really grateful for that. The second video I did on it was one in which I took the actual video footage that people recorded from their mobiles and included that along with analysis and did 4 or 5 videos talking about the events that occurred in Senegal today. But today was supposed to be about Heritage Day and how Afrikaans and Afrikaner culture is being pushed to the sideline in what I call cultural genocide. And actually, I'm saying that people are often complaining when they talk about farms and genocide. I didn't call the farm attacks a genocide. I've called this a cultural genocide, which is what's happening. My second video is doing quite well for a video, 818 views, actually more than that, but not nearly as popular as the first one, which is interesting. This one actually had the footage, so I guess people wanted to hear what I had to say in the first video. And then the second one, maybe they didn't need to see the videos because they've probably seen a lot of these already. But that one's actually had about 740 views already in less than an hour, so it's doing well, both of them. But the first one, thank you all so much. Over 11,000 views in less than 4 hours, less than 3 hours, excuse me. That's astounding, unbelievable. In fact, YouTube can't even keep up with it. There's just 4,700 mentioned, and it's actually 11,000. So Etienne Dutoy has just subscribed. Thank you so much for that. Folks, later today, I will have Ernst van Zyl, the Conscious Caracal, on my channel in a surprise appearance, a special feature live stream with an eyewitness account of what occurred today in Senegal. Now, he stayed longer than Renee Kruger did, so he will have more to share with us. Was also in a different position. Actually caught him on one of the videos that came through. So, folks, please tune in for that. That will be at 8:30 in Botswana and South Africa, 7:30 in Windhoek, Abuja, and London. And that will be 14:30 Eastern Standard Time here on the East Coast of the United States today. And I'll determine whether I do a Night Owls edition after that, but most likely I will not. For those who will be tuning in at noontime to catch me, you're going to miss me because I'm not going to do a stream after this. My next stream will be with the Conscious Caracal tonight at 8:30. South Africa at 2:30 here in the U.S. And that'll be enough between the videos and these interviews. That'll be enough for today. Paul E. Fire just gave us super stickers. Said thank you. You're most welcome. It's my pleasure. Hendo, this interview needs to be redone, says Rolf. Was it not satisfactory, or you mean to have another? Redone means to redo it as if it was done incorrectly. I think you mean to do it again. We need to do it again. Daniel Princeless says thank you for all your efforts. My pleasure. Yeah. So. Anyway, so let's see. sorry. I read the articles. The suspects are members of the police. I don't know about the devolve. I have not seen anything about that. Who knows? The bottom line is that it's being portrayed as if they're cattle rustlers or cattle thieves, and that's really isn't true. This is a political killing. This is politically motivated murder of a young man who had nothing to do with apartheid, who was not a farm owner, who was a farm manager, and was murdered simply and tortured because of the appearance of his skin. And we see the vile comments that come out of these thugs. As I mentioned, this guy, Andile, who said, let them give back the land and they shall know peace. So long as they're holding onto our land, bad things shall happen to him. It's not your land, dipstick. It's not your land. You didn't purchase it. You didn't win it through conquest. And you're not going to terrorize people into leaving the land. That's the bottom line here, folks. Anyway, folks, thanks for tuning in. This is going to be a wrap-up for this. This was my special feature with Renee Kruger. I hope that you found this an interesting stream and was helpful for you to talk a little bit about Heritage Day and the marginalization of Afrikaans, the Afrikaans language, Afrikaner culture in South Africa. And so that's a little bit about that with Renee Kruger. I appreciate your patronage, your time, the super chat, super sticker, the new members. We got a few new members today, a lot new subscribers. In fact, so that video I mentioned earlier, my stream is loading really slowly here. Sorry. That video now is at, waiting for it to load here, 11,400 views in less than 3 hours. Thank you so much for that, folks. And back on the channel, let's see what we got going on the channel here. Because a lot of people suddenly have been subscribing. I think it's because of the stream and also because the video most likely had a big impact. But I want to thank everybody for becoming subscribers. There's a lot of content on this channel. It's not just about South Africa. It's about all of Africa, the U.S., politics, China, whoever's involved in Africa, and I cover all of it. So please feel free to tune in to my channel anytime. You can catch the live streams, which have a heavy focus on South Africa, but I have content that covers everything, including now, we've just went over 9,000 subscribers, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, after stagnating for a few weeks because of the games that YouTube plays, we've had a push here. Thank you so much for the folks who just pushed us over 9,000 subscribers today. That's really awesome. Thank you so much for that. Bye-bye, donkey. I'm very grateful for that. That's quite kind of you. Thank you so much for that. Anyway, folks, I'm going to go ahead and close it out here. And I'll be back at 8:30 South Africa, Botswana time, 7:30 in Windhoek, London, Abuja, with the conscious clerical Ernst van Zyl, who is present in Senegal for a special feature interview this evening. And that'll be 2:30 Eastern Standard Time here in the U.S. Ladies and gentlemen, please share these streams and the videos across your social media platforms with anybody you'd like to, so we can draw attention to what is happening in South Africa. That is the goal here. All right, folks, I want to thank you all for your time, for your support, and for tuning in to Chris White Africa. I'll catch you in 2.5 hours. I'm going to go collect my mail, do a little bit of shopping, see if I can't find some more Starbucks if it's made it into the stores. Thank you so much. God bless. Be safe out there.